Hey, what's going on? It's Anthony from S2K and today, unfortunately, I'm working on a wheel bearing for my 2003 Lexus IS300. So, this is the wheel that has a suspected bad wheel bearing. Alright. Like when you can drive, you can really tell it's making like a loud clicking noise. Yeah, hear that noise? That loud clicking noise? I believe that's the wheel bearing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change the wheel bearing out. I'm probably going to do it on the car because it's just easier. I can not take off some stuff. So let's go ahead and try that out. First thing you got to do is find the wheel lock, and then after that jack up the car and take off the wheels. So I found the wheel lock. It usually comes in like this little pouch thing for Lexuses. Here, and of course, use a 21mm socket to take off these wheel lugs. Okay, so now that the wheel is off, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unbolt this caliper. Just a few bolts back here. I think they were 17s, and then I'm going to just hang it out. Okay, so remove these two bolts that hold the caliper in. They're 17 mils, one up top, one on the bottom here. Okay. Alright, so the two bolts are removed, are back here, these two. Just gonna hang it out over here. Also went ahead and zip tied the caliper out of the way after I removed those two bolts. Next thing you gotta do is make sure that your handbrake is off. And then you can just remove the rotor. Okay, that's how you do that. If you live somewhere where there is rust, that in itself is a job of its own. So we got some. Remove this little cover. Okay. And then after that cover is off, undo the axle nut. Axle nut's at 32. Alright. Next, axle nut's off. Next I'm going to remove this arm, this upper control arm, the bolt that goes through here, and this one right here, the lower arm thing. Okay, so now I'm going to use a ball joint separator. It looks like this. For this particular ball joint separator, there's 2 holes here, so you can go for extra opening or smaller opening. So don't forget that there is that there. Sometimes you forget things like that. Remove this guy. That is a 17 mil. Okay, 17 mil. And then I'll pop it off with this ball joint separator. Sometimes need a little help. There we go. Also, don't forget to remove there's a ABS sensor back here. It's held together with a 10. Side. One here. Lower one here. Okay, and that lower bolt has a nut, just like that. Put that aside. So this upper control arm up here, okay, so the upper control arm here, loosen that up with a 19 mil. So loosen that with a wrench there. And then use that ball joint separator that you used on the other ball joint. Make sure wedge it between there. So with ball joint separators, you have to remember that the tool is not doing 100% of the work. You kind of have to hit it with a hammer a little bit. I mean, you can just keep cranking at it and have the thing just pop open that way, like that. Usually I do it like halfway, or you feel it tension down, and then I hit it with a hammer. So yeah. Alright, turn our attention here to that lower bolt there. We are left with this bottom guy, which is also a 19. And before you remove this, don't forget to mark it with like a marker or inscribe it with a screwdriver or something like that. Okay. Punch out the axle. I like to use like a center punch with the hammer, and I'll take it out easily. Alright, I'm going to use a punch to try to get the rest of the axle out. Alright, so I got the axle out. Kind of ghetto. I just used a zip tie to hold it up over there. And now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to remove the hub assembly. I use my hub grappler. It's a tool made by OTC. Alright, so we have the hub with the race still attached to it on my press. I got a large bearing separator supported by some arbor plates right here, and I got some other stuff to press down on it. Got a big socket, so let's see if we can get a shot out. Have a beautiful hub like that. Alright, time to remove the snap ring. Oh wow, that's a first. Yeah, and now you remove the snap ring. Next thing is you just gotta remove the wheel bearing. Alright, so I accidentally lost the footage of when I initially removed the wheel bearing from the car, so I'm going to kind of walk you through it with what I have here and my S2K, even though the hub is on it. I can give you a really totally good representation of what happened when I took out that wheel bearing. So I used this wheel bearing remover kit. It's a kit that you use to remove the wheel bearing from a car that has the hub on the car or the knuckle on the car, instead of taking the whole knuckle assembly off and then using a press like that, pressing it out. The advantages are the advantages of using that kit is that you don't have to remove the knuckle. So a lot of the stuff, like, I don't know, removing, well, typically the IS300 has a a rear drum e-brake right here. Well, the SDK doesn't, but still, that's kind of a pain to remove and take apart to get the knuckle off. Besides that, actually, it's relatively easy to take off, but it is nice having it on the car. It makes for quick work, especially if you've done it before. You work way quicker than using a press. So I'm going to show you what to do. Alright, so this kit, I got it from, I believe, either Harbor Freight or Amazon, one of those two. I'll just link the Amazon link below. You can look at it, you can buy it, or buy it from Harbor Freight, doesn't matter. Basically, it's pretty simple. You find the cup that fits over the front of the knuckle. You find a thing like one of those pucks that fits perfectly behind the knuckle to pull out the bearing, and then you use that long screw with that nut thing right there to wrench at it or torque down at it to remove the wheel bearing from the knuckle. So I'll give you a quick example on my S2K. Alright, so imagine that this hub is not here, it is off. To remove the wheel bearing, basically you find the cup that matches the outer diameter of this knuckle assembly, like that. And then use like this cap thing here to capture that end. And then find a piece that fits squarely behind here, behind the knuckle, and push it against the wheel bearing. Just find the right size. And then, with that being said, use the long bolt to kind of keep this cup assembly together. First put in this puck to push down the wheel bearing that fits perfectly in the hole. Put in some washers. I got 2 washers here. Put them in there, and then use this nut thing to kind of Alright, so after you have this nut thing in, the driver nut in, basically you just get like a wrench or something. This is probably not the right size, but you find the wrench or use an adjustable wrench to hold it down. Use a socket wrench to torque down on this bolt, which will turn this thing and force this impact nut, driver nut, into the knuckle, and eventually the bearing will come out into this cup, this receiver. Or you can use like an impact gun. This gun is actually way too undersized for it. Use a bigger one and just crank down on it, and eventually the bearing will end up in this receiver cup. So next step is we gotta press in the new bearing. Same way how we remove the old bearing. So just clean up this. Already cleaned this up a little bit, and then alright, so now this thing is square in there, and now he's gotta drive it in. Alright, so here's the aftermath. This is actually up the other side, but you get the idea. Basically, installation of all the stuff, all the control arms and stuff, is the opposite of removal. So, hopefully you enjoyed that video. In that video, I actually replaced the lower knuckle bushing, which tends to make noise also. If you want to see that video, just let me know. And once again, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. And if you like these videos that I make of me fixing my various cars, like this IS300 with this really cool cat sticker. Yeah, super cool, huh? Just let me know what you want to see, and if it's something particular you want to see done that is plausible, like I'm not going to take apart my entire car if I don't need to. Yeah, just let me know what video that you'd like to see, and I can possibly make it. So once again, peace out.